The coffin closed at 11:04 a.m. At precisely 11:04 a.m., the lid of the coffin clicked shut. The noise was soft, almost respectful, but to me it sounded like a steel door slamming on 30 years of shared life, love, and everything I thought I understood about my wife, Emma Langford. She was the founder, the visionary. Langford Dynamics wouldn't have existed without her, and I had no illusions about that. I was the quiet support, the engineer-turned-husband who happily stepped back when the press needed a soundbite, or the board needed a spotlight moment. She handled the stage. I held the scaffolding. They buried her with full honors. Biotech community leaders, state representatives, even a Harvard delegation who used her name in AI ethics lectures. But none of them saw the truth. Not the way I did. Not the way I was about to. As I stood by the graveside, two black umbrellas flanking me, one held by her daughter Rachel, the other by her son Adam, I realized I wasn't mourning with family. I was standing among strangers. "Thomas," Rachel said softly, leaning in just enough for the press photographers to catch the intimacy. "We'll need to meet this afternoon. There are estate matters we have to address urgently." "She just died," I whispered. My voice felt hollow. The wind didn't even bother to carry it. Rachel smiled, public relations polished. "Exactly. There are contracts pending, timelines. We're not just grieving, we're executing." Executing. That word settled deep in my chest. I looked to Adam for some sign of compassion, but his eyes were fixed on the horizon, jaw locked like he was already 3 steps ahead of me in a war I didn't even know we were fighting. 3 hours later, I was sitting in Emma's private office, hers, never ours, across from Rachel and Adam. They wore corporate black, but their iPads were out, emails pinging every other second. The air smelled like lavender and litigation. Adam swiped across a screen and turned it toward me. "Here's the updated control structure. Per the final addendum to Mom's will, you're no longer on the advisory board. Effective immediately." I blinked. "There's been no reading of the will." "There doesn't need to be. Everything's digital now. It was filed through Legacy Link, a verified estate platform, time-stamped, encrypted, notarized via biometric scan," Rachel said, clicking open a second screen. "She signed it the night before the morphine drip increased. Full cognition confirmed by Dr. Renfield. We have the video file." I stared at them, then the document. Emma's signature was there. Her name in perfect, fluid lines. Too perfect, too steady. "You're saying Emma left everything to you two?" My voice shook. Adam leaned forward. "It's what she wanted. You were never part of the core leadership. She wanted you to be taken care of, but not involved." "She told me," she said, Rachel interrupted, tone saccharine. "She told a lot of people a lot of things. But what matters is what's in writing. And in data." There it was, the corporate gospel. If it wasn't in metadata, it didn't exist. "I want to see the original file," I said. Rachel's eyes didn't blink. "That won't be possible." "Then I'll contact Emma's lawyer, Vincent." "We've moved legal representation to Jenner and Cross," Adam said flatly. "Vincent is retired. Or should be." "You two don't even live here," I snapped. "Rachel, you're based in Toronto. Adam, you're in Berlin. What do you know about the foundation Emma built?" "We know enough to protect it," Rachel said, "and to modernize it, which includes transitioning you out of this property." That stopped me cold. "This house?" Adam tapped his screen again. Per the updated deed, the house was converted into a corporate asset 2 months ago. It belongs to Langford Dynamics. You're welcome to use the guest quarters for 30 days while you make arrangements. I laughed then, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't scream. "You're evicting me?" Rachel stood. "We're realigning operations, Thomas. This isn't personal." That was the most personal sentence I'd heard all day. They left me alone in the room. Emma's photo still sat on the desk, her in a denim shirt, hair in a braid, sun-kissed from the day we bought this land. That woman was gone. Not just in the grave, but erased from the data, scrubbed clean. I walked the perimeter of the house that night, touching the things Emma and I had built. The sunroom where we'd written our first product patent. The fireplace where we hosted every Christmas. The porch where she told me she wanted to die, facing west as the trees turned gold. That night I opened her laptop. The password had changed. Locked out. But I wasn't helpless. Emma and I had shared a fail-safe, the legacy clause, a physical backup drive stored in our off-site archive, something she said we'd only need if the suits ever tried to swallow the soul of the company. I wasn't even sure it still existed. But I was sure of one thing now. Emma didn't mean for it to end this way. Not with her children, her company, her vision, all turning against the man she'd chosen to trust. And that's when I noticed the screensaver had changed. It was a message. If you're reading this, I didn't get to tell you the truth. Find the backup. Trust only what we built. I sat back, breath caught in my throat. They thought I would go quietly. They were wrong. If you've ever been overlooked after giving everything you had, type 1. You're not alone. She didn't die alone, and they knew it. The email hit my inbox at 6:42 a.m. Subject, termination of legacy access, effective immediately. From Langford Dynamics IT admin. To Thomas Langford. No greeting, no explanation. Just a notice that my credentials to access anything related to Emma's company, her files, her calendar, even her internal messages, had been revoked. I hadn't even had my coffee. I sat in the dim kitchen of the farmhouse, the same one Emma had remodeled for us 20 years ago, with its exposed beams and sun-faded curtains. Outside, the orchard shimmered under the early dew. Inside, I was being digitally erased. I forwarded the email to myself on my backup account, then tried logging into Emma's archived server folders. Access denied. Then I checked the public company portal. Her in memoriam page was gone, replaced with a banner. Langford Dynamics enters new era of innovation under next-gen leadership. My hands trembled, not with sadness, but rage. This was not a tribute. It was a takeover. I called Vincent, Emma's original lawyer. "I was just about to call you," he said. "Something's off, Thomas. The will they filed? Not the one we drafted." My pulse slowed. "You're saying it's a fake?" "I'm saying it's been modified, digitally altered. The audit trail's broken, and Emma would have never used biometric signing without you being there." "I know," my voice dropped. "I think she left me something, a video, a message, but they wiped it. Then you need to find the original." I hung up and turned to the laptop again, still locked. But Emma's old smartwatch, the one she stopped wearing after her diagnosis, sat in the kitchen drawer. She used it for voice memos, private ones. I paired it to my phone. There were only 2 files. The first was blank, corrupted. The second was a clipped audio recording. Just 3 seconds. "Thomas, if you hear this, check the mile marker unit." My breath caught. The mile marker storage facility was 10 miles outside of town. Emma and I had used it for old prototypes, documents too sensitive to keep online. She used to joke that it was our Cold War bunker. I grabbed the keys and left. Inside Unit 14C, past the dusty shelves and decommissioned sensor rigs, I found the silver fireproof box. Inside, a solid-state drive, a printout of a folder tree, and a letter. The letter was handwritten, shaky. "Thomas, if they show you a will, it's not mine." My last file was stored on the company's private server under Legacy Clause 231X. If you're reading this, I wasn't alone when I died. Rachel was there. She disabled the feed. They think the morphine clouded everything. But I knew what they were planning. You have to finish what I couldn't. Emma. I staggered back. My own stepdaughter, present when the machine flatlined yet never told me. The cameras, disabled. The nurse, reassigned days after. They knew. Rachel knew. Back at the house, I replayed the 3-second clip over and over until it blurred into white noise. My mind began to sharpen. I wasn't grieving anymore. I was assembling. I returned to Emma's office while Adam was out of town finalizing the supposed new investment round. Rachel was home, allegedly resting after the funeral week, but I knew better. She was orchestrating. I knocked on her door. She opened in yoga pants and a forced smile. "You look like you haven't slept," she said, voice syrupy. "Because I haven't. We need to talk." She stepped aside. "About?" "Why you were in the hospital room when the feed was cut." The color drained slightly from her cheeks. "Excuse me?" "I checked the access logs. Your ID card was scanned in at 2:48 a.m. Emma passed at 3:12. The camera feed was interrupted due to technical error. Coincidence?" Rachel blinked. Then, "It was a difficult night." "She left me a message." That got her. Her jaw twitched. "What message?" "I won't tell you." "Not yet." A beat of silence stretched between us. She recovered quickly. "You're tired, Thomas. You're grieving. It's easy to imagine things when—" "Stop gaslighting me," I snapped. "I know what's happening. You think I'm weak. You think because I didn't build the brand, I can't protect it. But Emma and I were building something more than a brand." Rachel crossed her arms. "Emma was trying to protect her legacy. That's what we're doing. By forging documents? By erasing her final wishes?" She smiled faintly. "I think you should leave the business affairs to people who actually understand them." I stepped closer. "If you erase that video, I'll make sure the board sees the backup metadata. You think I don't know how to trace version control logs? I wrote the redundancy protocol for your AI's sandbox simulations." She blinked. "Emma never trusted your governance model. That's why she didn't tell you about the conservation grants or the ethics audit scheduled with the Department of AI regulation. But I have her calendar backups." She flinched again, subtly but enough. I leaned in. "You're not the only one who can weaponize data." She tried to laugh. It came out brittle. "Are you threatening me?" "No." I stepped back. "I'm reminding you." Then I left. That night, I sat on the porch with the drive in my lap, spinning it between my fingers. I didn't plug it in. Not yet. The truth was a weapon, but weapons must be timed. In the distance, the orchard rustled like breath. They wanted silence. They would get a storm instead. If you've ever uncovered something they didn't want you to see, Type 2, some truths don't stay buried. The signature wasn't hers. The call came at 9:12 a.m., an unfamiliar number but a familiar voice. "Thomas, it's Lucy Meadows. I used to work under Emma in data compliance. Listen, I don't know what's going on with the board, but I found something. I don't want to talk about it on the phone. Can you meet?" I hadn't spoken to Lucy in years. She was the kind of employee who kept her head down, followed protocols, never made waves. The fact that she was reaching out now, nervous, hushed, told me everything I needed to know. We met in the back booth of a rundown diner just outside the city limits. She was already there, hoodie up, a cheap laptop in front of her. No eye contact, no pleasantries. "What you're about to see," she said, sliding the screen toward me, "never made it past internal staging, but I archived a copy when I saw the metadata anomalies." The file opened to a video interface, Langford Dynamics Secure Signing Platform. Emma's final will appeared on screen, time-stamped, labeled V3 Final Submission. Lucy hit play. Emma's image flickered to life. Face pale, shoulders slumped, her hands trembling as she reached for the signature pad. The timestamp read, 2:51 a.m. Emma died at 3:12. I watched the clip in silence, but something gnawed at me. The signature, the strokes were too fluid. Her hand barely shook. It looked Perfect. Mechanical. Lucy paused the video. "Now watch this," she said, pulling up the biometric logs. The system had recorded Emma's signature as verified using a biometric stylus, but the signature had a compression pattern inconsistent with natural hand pressure. The variation was linear, AI-generated. "She didn't sign this," I said flatly. "No," Lucy agreed. "Someone spoofed it. The stylus used wasn't even her device. It was a developer tool, internal use only." "Who had access?" "I traced the hardware ID," Lucy said, tapping her screen. "Rachel did. She borrowed it 2 nights before Emma died, claimed she was updating firmware." "Of course she did." "She thought no one would check the logs," I muttered. Lucy nodded. "Most wouldn't. But I audited Emma's files one last time before they terminated my access. Found a hidden folder, encrypted, password protected. Took me 3 hours to crack it." She slid over a thumb drive. "Everything's on here. The real will, her private notes. The board never saw any of it." My chest tightened. "This is dangerous, Lucy. They'll come after you." She smiled, tired. "They already have. They flagged me for unauthorized inquiry yesterday. I'm on unpaid leave. I'll handle the fallout." "No offense, Thomas," she said, "but you're not the kind of man they're scared of." She was right. But I was becoming one. Back at the farmhouse, I plugged in the drive. The files loaded, video messages, scanned handwritten letters, and a will dated 1 week before Emma's death. In it, she left me 40% of Langford Dynamics, plus the house and orchard. Rachel and Adam, 20% each, conditional on ethical conduct and remaining independent of foreign investors. She knew what was coming. She had written, "If they try to override this, they're not just betraying me, they're destroying everything I believed in." I stared at the screen, jaw clenched. Then I called Vincent. "Thomas," he answered. "I was hoping you'd call. I've got something too. The notary listed on the revised will, she doesn't exist. The license number belongs to a vet tech in Ohio." "Then we have enough," I said. "Let's move." "Be ready," he warned. "They'll hit back hard." "I'm counting on it." At 11:03 p.m., I received a text from Rachel. "We need to talk. Tomorrow. Conference room, 9 sharp." I didn't reply. Instead, I sent Vincent a copy of the decrypted files and contacted Harold Winters at Pennsylvania State Trust, the bank handling Langford Dynamics operational accounts. "Harold," I said, "we need to freeze all major disbursements pending a fraud investigation. I'll send the court order by 7 a.m. You have it ready?" "Drafted. Vincent's finalizing it now." "Understood. But Thomas—" Harold hesitated. "This is going to blow up fast." "I'm ready." At 9 a.m. sharp, I entered the glass conference room of Langford Dynamics HQ. Rachel and Adam sat on one side. 3 board members flanked them. The air was thick with tension and false smiles. "Thomas," Rachel began, standing, "we wanted to offer a peaceful resolution. Sell back your shares. Clean exit. Dignified. You forged Emma's will." The words dropped like a grenade. The room fell silent. Rachel sat down slowly. Adam shifted in his chair, then said, "That's a serious accusation." I brought evidence. I placed the thumb drive on the table. Full audit logs, video overlays, biometric inconsistencies, the real notary's credentials, and Emma's original will. One of the board members leaned forward. "Where did you get this?" "From someone who still cares about truth." Rachel's voice cracked. "You don't understand what we're protecting. The investors want—" "I don't care what they want." I stood, eyes locked on hers. "Emma didn't build this company to be sold to the highest bidder with the lowest ethics. She trusted me to defend her legacy, and that's exactly what I'm going to do." "You can't prove intent," Adam snapped. "At best, it's a clerical mismatch." Vincent entered the room behind me, holding a thick folder. "Actually, we can prove everything, including access logs traced to your credentials, and misappropriation of Emma's private assets. He dropped the folder on the table with a thud. The state will be in touch. Rachel paled. You'd ruin us? I haven't even started, I said. Outside the boardroom, I stood in the hallway, heart still pounding. Lucy messaged one word. Delivered? I replied, delivered. Loud and clear. If you've ever had someone steal your work and call it theirs, type 3. Sometimes the truth doesn't knock. It kicks the damn door in. The final meeting room. At 6:17 a.m., an encrypted message hit my private inbox. No subject, no signature, just a single file titled Langford Settlement, Offer, Final PDF. I clicked. Confidential mediation proposal. Thomas Langford v. Langford Dynamics Board of Directors. The opening line stopped me cold. In exchange for full withdrawal of legal action and media silence, the undersigned agrees to a lifetime monthly payment of $9,500, contingent upon permanent relocation from Pennsylvania and cessation of public commentary. A payoff. They were trying to bury me with a pension. I laughed. One short, bitter exhale. They still thought I was here for the money. They had no idea what was coming. The conference room was warm. Too warm. The blinds were drawn, but morning light bled around the edges. The same room where Emma once unveiled the company's first AI-driven food sorting prototype. The room where she once made me coffee before investor calls and scribbled vision statements on the whiteboard. Now, it was a war zone. I sat flanked by Vincent on my right and Robert Wilson, the real estate and fraud attorney Emma had saved with a loan 30 years ago, on my left. Across the table, Rachel, her face drawn and cold. Adam, eyes sunken. 2 Langford board members trying too hard to look disinterested. And a third man, platinum tie, manicured, representing Platinum Acres, the development firm quietly circling Emma's land for over a year. Robert dropped the settlement document in front of them. This is not a negotiation. The man in the tie leaned forward. Mr. Langford, we have serious concerns about the public messaging surrounding your late wife's estate. Our legal team is prepared to pursue defamation if— You'll do nothing, Robert interrupted, calm, clinical. Because if this case goes to court, your developers will be subpoenaed for all correspondence dating back 2 years, including the conversation your COO had with Rachel Langford 4 days after Emma's diagnosis. Rachel stiffened. I leaned forward. We traced the metadata. The will wasn't forged in isolation. Platinum Acres submitted a draft of the transfer deed 2 weeks before Emma died. You don't draft that kind of legal doc on a whim. The man looked to Rachel. You didn't mention— She's lying, Rachel snapped. I didn't— She's not, Vincent said, pulling out a folder. Emma's original will, notarized, handwritten, stored off-site, signed in front of 2 now verified witnesses, both of whom have sworn affidavits. This is the only legal will. What you submitted to probate was fraudulent. You're bluffing, Adam muttered. All of this. None of it holds in court. It's hearsay. Robert smiled. Funny thing. So far, every judge who's seen the file disagrees with you. He pulled out the final piece. The conservation easement, he said, holding up a map. Emma and Thomas placed a binding conservation restriction on the original 40 acres, including the orchard, barn, and, most importantly, the only parcel with water rights. Without that, your housing plan fails city inspection. He dropped it on the table. You can't build. You won't build. You never will. The silence was suffocating. Then Rachel spoke, quiet, furious. You'd rather burn everything down than let your wife's own children continue her work? You didn't want to continue it, I said softly. You wanted to commercialize it. Strip it for parts and stamp your names on something she bled for. She gave us everything, Adam hissed. She gave you love, I corrected, not a license to dismantle her soul. Rachel's voice broke. You don't get to gatekeep her legacy. No, I said, standing. But I get to protect it. Because while you were drawing up fake wills, she was whispering the truth into every backup, every contract, every person who actually believed in what she was building. Robert handed over 2 documents. Here's how this ends. You will both sign declarations rescinding your claim to the company, the land, and all affiliated trademarks. You will release any media